This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
Hello, Flames Nation. My name is Nick Pierce. Glad to have you here as we just try to work through a very difficult time right now. A lot of unknowns right now with the COVID-19 virus pandemic. A lot of you may be at home. Maybe some of you still had to go to work today, but we're just glad that you decided to spend a little bit of time with us here as we try to keep you entertained and keep you up to date on everything happening around Flames athletics as well. Thought it'd be a little fun to kind of take a walk back down memory lane here and catch up with some former Liberty student athletes. And we've got one with us here today, Allyson Fasnacht, former point guard from the Lady Flames basketball team, part of the Sweet 16 team back in 2005. Allyson, appreciate you joining us. How are you?
I'm doing well, Nick. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Love the way that technology has helped us be able to still connect here as we chat here across Zoom. But Allyson, tell us a little bit about what's going on right now. You're an associate head coach at St. Mary's out in California. Obviously, everything's shut down at the moment. Kind of hard to do much coaching right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We're obviously in some kind of unprecedented times here, but we're trying to make the most of it. So I'm actually back in Salem, Virginia right now. Came back, I guess it was last Thursday, to try to just spend some of this downtime with my family. Everything at St. Mary's is pretty much shut down. We're not allowed to work out with our players or really do anything on campus. So my head coach and boss was gracious enough to let me come home for a couple weeks, and we're still doing meetings and doing as much as we can, but doing it pretty much over Zoom or FaceTime or email right now. So it's I'm glad to be in Salem.
Yeah, recruiting dead period as well. So really not a whole lot you can do except just kind of plan for what might be the future or what we think the future might look like. But appreciate you taking a few moments here to join us. Let's talk a little bit about what happened after you left Liberty, because a lot of folks remember you from playing on some very good women's basketball teams, 3 Big South championships. I mentioned the Sweet 16 run. You were a sports management major, and then did you pretty much jump straight into coaching right after that?
Pretty much. Right after graduation, obviously moved home for a little bit. I was helping out with my my high school team for a couple months and kind of had a little part-time job figuring out what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to get into coaching, so I was trying to find kind of the graduate assistant route, and Coach Green was helping me out with that a little bit. And I got hooked up with a assistant coaching job at Furman University down in South Carolina, really through a different coaching contact. I had worked some summer camps at Virginia Tech as well as Liberty kind of during the summers, and one of the assistants at Virginia Tech knew the guy that was the head coach at Furman, and they had lost a staff member kind of at a weird time in the middle of the year, and we're looking for somebody to kind of step right in. So she kind of recommended my name, and kind of just perfect timing. Went down there for really just about a half a season. I was only there from, I got hired in December. I was there through the end of the season, and then knew I still wanted to go back and do the GA route and get my master's degree. So kind of got hooked up with a couple different coaches and somebody who knew somebody that knew Jane Albright out at University of Nevada. And I ended up moving out there for 2 years for grad school.
Wow, so that's a pretty big jump. You go from high school and college in Virginia, then a big jump going to South Carolina, obviously just moving several hours away from home really for the first time, and then to go all the way across the country. I mean, was there a little bit of, I don't want to say fear, but trepidation, just uncertainty with that kind of move?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up here in Salem. Liberty's about an hour from door of my house to door of the Vine Center, so not going too far away. Moving to South Carolina was a little bit further, but I was at least just, like you said, a couple hours away. I could hop in the car and go home. But, moving out to Nevada was definitely a different change. It took a little bit of time to get used to, and really, quite honestly, helped me grow up a lot. Just being close to home, you got that safety net, and when you're hours and hours away, just forces you to grow up a little bit faster. And I was fortunate enough to the director of operations at Nevada was a friend of mine who I had met back actually on a mission trip with Athletes in Action after my freshman year. So there's a little bit of comfort there with having her there, but other than that, I was pretty much on my own.
Wow. And had to grow up very quickly, I'm sure, just being out there in that situation. But obviously you liked it. You've stayed out on the West Coast, wound up at St. Mary's. Tell us how you got there.
Yeah, again, just kind of being in the right place at the right time. I finished up my master's degree after 2 years at St. Mary's, and we had actually just played St. Mary's. At the University of Nevada. We had played St. Mary's in the WNIT my last year there. We actually beat them at St. Mary's. That was kind of my first introduction to the school. I kind of helped with the scouting report, and we went over there and played on their campus, which was a pretty cool experience. Ended up winning, and then got knocked out a round or two later. But we had a staff member at Nevada who kind of knew about the staff member at St. Mary's who was gonna leave and take a different job. So kind of knew before things really got out there. And the lady that I work for, Jane Albright, called Paul Thomas at St. Mary's and kind of recommended me. And I was lucky enough that he was looking for kind of a fresh face and just somebody completely new and that didn't have a lot of kind of knowledge of the business and just wanted somebody that he could kind of mold and be fresh to this. So again, I just there at the right time. I think I interviewed. I got offered the job maybe a week or so later and started 2 or 3 days after that. So it was a pretty quick turnaround.
Wow. Well, we'll talk more about your days, the experience so far at St. Mary's there in just a little bit. But Allyson, want to kind of hit rewind here a little bit now that we've kind of caught up with you and go back to your days as a point guard at Liberty. And it doesn't seem like, you're talking about making some big adjustments there in life and having to kind of get comfortable being uncomfortable maybe a little bit, but you kind of had to do that at Liberty too. You stepped in right away. You played in 30-some games your freshman year. You started 20 of them, and you were part of a Sweet 16 team that was largely a lot of seniors. How did you kind of go about making your way and finding your niche in all of that?
Yeah, for sure. I got really lucky to come into a great situation. That's one of the reasons why I picked Liberty was they had a great winning tradition and, a great coaching staff and great would-be seniors and kind of just were leading the way and kind of setting that foundation. So, coming in for any freshman, it's really hard. It's way harder than anybody they can tell you it's going to be, but until you get there and experience it. So that first semester was challenging for me. I played a little bit here and there, but I think there was 1 or 2 games where it was a DNP coach's decision. So that's never a good thing.
You never want to see that on the box score, do you?
No, you don't. But, lucky enough, I had really supportive parents and coaches that just kept saying, keep working. And, I kind of got a chance kind of probably about mid-year to start a couple of games and just kind of found my niche. I was, like you said, a freshman point guard playing with basically 4 other seniors. So my job was pretty easy. It was basically get the ball to Katie inside, find Dinah or Rima or Crystal for 3. So it wasn't a super challenging role, to step into. I was okay with trying to get them the ball as much as possible.
Yeah, but that's a different role than what you were used to even in high school. I think you averaged 24 a game your senior year at Glenver.
Yeah, it was definitely a different change of pace. I played at a really small high school, so kind of had to do a little bit of everything. We had a really great high school program, but I was asked to shoulder a lot more of kind of all the responsibilities there. But so it was a little bit of an adjustment. But hey, if I want to be on the court and that's what I got to do, then I was all for it.
We just kind of documented that run that the team made in 2005 a few days ago on a Flames Minute that I did, and go back to that game against Penn State because we just hit the 15-year anniversary of that, which is just hard to believe. I don't know how that makes you feel, but I was there as a student covering it, so I feel a little bit older now. But I can't believe it's been 15 years. But that said, what do you remember about it? And just the moment that the clock hit 0 in College Park and y'all had beaten Penn State.
Yeah, it was one of those moments. I'll never forget it. We came in and I think our coaching staff did a really good job of preparing us and like helping us believe that was no doubt in our mind that we could beat Penn State. They had a really great tradition, some great players. The things I remember a lot are the preparation that went into it. I can remember our practice guys had T-shirts with the numbers and the names of who we were probably going to be guarding, and you were guarding that person, that whole week and a half or so leading up to it. They were running their plays and, doing everything. They had those guys trained down. So if Tanisha Wright was going to go left every time or whatever her scouting report was, they were doing that to the T. So we felt really, really confident going into that game. And obviously things kind of have to go your way, when the whistle blows and all that. But we played tough and played hard. And I just remember there was a time when we were up, and there was a couple huddles where it was just like, man, you could tell there was some nervousness with us, and we were thinking, hey, let's run some clock. And I remember thinking, like, no, we have to keep scoring. We have to keep scoring. We can't let up. But yeah, when the clock hit 0 and we had won, it was just an awesome feeling for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a game, I think you had a 3. I was just looking back at the game. I don't know how much you remember of it now, but all the plays probably kind of run together. But you had a 3 to put them up, put you all up like 45-38 or something like that. And they cut it to, I guess, 2 possessions. I mean, do you remember that sequence, or you had a fist pump or something? I don't know how much of that is still relevant or still there in your memory. But I mean, is there that part or another part of the game maybe that you remember?
There's a couple, certain plays here and there that I remember. I do not remember the score. I do not remember the situation at all. I can remember one where the shot clock was running down. I had the ball at the top, and I basically just took 1 or 2 hard dribbles at my defender, and I pulled up kind of right in front of her and hit a little free throw jumper right before the shot clock ran out. And then there was another one where I remember driving down, I think it was the right side, just putting my head down like I normally did and trying to get to the basket. And I barreled my shoulder right into her. I thought it was a charge for sure. And I looked up and I saw the referee, give the block sign. And I remember thinking, whew, like I got pretty lucky there with that one. So took a deep breath. I think I made both free throws, but those are probably the 2 biggest plays that I remember.
And then all the way to the Sweet 16 against LSU. I mean, what about that week in between there? Because I remember that the media coverage on campus was insane. I mean, the USA Today was there, ESPN is there. Y'all were practicing, I think, in the new basket. They were new at the time. The rec center, the LaHaye Center. A couple practices in there. I saw media all over the place. I mean, how did that team handle that?
I think for us, we were lucky that we had 4 seniors who were really, the heartbeat of our team. Katie was obviously front and center as she should have been. And, she just handled everything like she normally did with just grace and, had all the right things to say. And it just was kind of the perfect storm. It was pretty crazy for the rest of us to just kind of sit back and watch. They had to do most of the interviews and a lot of the TV stuff. So the underclassmen really just got to look back and kind of take it all in and just kind of watch them do their thing, which was really nice. I'd probably rather have Katie talking to the media than me as a freshman. So.
Well, you got to experience 3 NCAA tournament games that year. You'd go on and experience 2 more in your career. With all of the experiences there and getting to be part of March Madness, I mean, how sad is it this year that kids aren't getting to experience that fought so hard to earn it?
Yeah, it's just a really unfortunate experience. It's March Madness is like the best time of the year, especially if you're a basketball fan. Just the hype that goes into it, the conference tournaments, the teams that come from have no business, winning it, come back and win it, or you got the teams that have put in the work all year and roll right through it and kind of get the bid that they deserve. It's one of those moments where you just want a chance to play. You just want a chance to play Penn State. You want a chance to play DePaul, just for that off chance that, if you're a mid-major, you might knock them off. So to have that taken away is really unfortunate. And, even watching our men's team, we've got, a couple of seniors on that team that it would have been fun to see those guys, get a chance to go and see how far they could go. So I get it. I'm for NCAA's decision, but it's definitely a bummer. I think everybody misses March Madness.
You talk about the men's team this year, went 30-4, won another ASUN championship. How much do you keep up with the programs, both of them now, and the success that they're having?
Yeah, I mean, it's I do it obviously from afar, being out in California, but I've got them on my favorites on my app on my phone, so I get scores that pop up. And obviously with Coach McKay coming back, I was there when it was I think it was my senior year or junior year when he was coaching there as well. So just to see him come back and follow the great job that he's doing, you got to be a fan of him. And with Coach Green still being there, it's crazy. He just never stops. He keeps going. And even with being in a new conference, it's been fun to see them play some different teams and, some different opponents. And hopefully we can get back on top of the ASUN.
Hard to believe we're done playing basketball in the Vine Center as well. 30 seasons in that building, and a lot of great memories. A lot of Big South championships won in that building for the teams you played on. Is there any memory there that really stands out for you? A game that was played in Vines that you still remember to this day?
Oh man, probably the one that sticks out the most was my freshman year. It was the Big South championship game. We'd kind of run through the regular season, but coming in my first year, you just expect, conference tournament, it's going to be crazy. Like everybody's going to, do their best and give us their best shot. And I think we won by like 40 in the conference title game. And I was just like, Dad, like that's just not what you expect to win your conference title game by 35 or 40. But we obviously had a great a team that year, but that's definitely one. You got the confetti, coming down and, especially getting to do it at home in front of your fans. That's pretty special.
Well, let's talk about St. Mary's now. Associate head coach this year. Congratulations on that. You've been an assistant there now for, 11 seasons? Is that right?
This is season number 9. We just finished.
9, okay.
Yep.
So you've been there a long time, though. What's the experience been like? How much have you learned about the game being out there at St. Mary's, a very legit mid-major program?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming into this, I didn't really know a ton about St. Mary's, obviously being a mid-major on the West Coast and growing up on the East Coast. You've heard of them here and there, but, didn't have a big knowledge of them. But, getting this job, I tell people all the time, like I had no business even, getting this job 9 years ago at such a great mid-major and such a mid-major powerhouse in a great conference. The WCC is one of the best mid-major conferences in the country. So, I really lucked out. We've got a great league, Gonzaga, now BYU's in our league, San Francisco, Pacific, San Diego, the list goes on. So, I've learned a ton. The style of basketball is different than the East Coast. It's different from what I kind of grew up playing, so I've enjoyed that. The stuff that really excites me is just the different player development stuff that we do with our kids and, helping them get better. And we actually changed offenses about a year and a half ago, so that's been really fun to kind of learn a completely new system than what we ran for my first basically 7 years, and kind of diving deep into that and learning new things. It's just going to help me down the road if I'm able to continue to coach.
Yeah, you talk about the player development stuff and being able to help some of the kids out. Is there any time that you look at it with a student athlete that you're coaching and you're thinking, oh yeah, I can remember when I was in this situation or I had this same kind of mentality? And is it kind of rewarding to be able to give back to those kids?
Absolutely. It's almost every workout that I do, there's something that happens in their mindset or in their drills or whatever. I'm like, gosh, I know what you're going through. Trust me. It's been a long time, but I was in your shoes at some point. So I think it helps to just come at them with that type of perspective as opposed to, somebody that hasn't played, which their obviously viewpoint is valid too. But, just having that player perspective, albeit long ago, but I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Allyson, we appreciate you taking some time here for us. We're certainly glad that you're doing well. Trust your family's doing well also, it sounds like. Everyone's healthy and well?
Yep, everything's going well here. I appreciate that.
Yeah, good. Very good. Well, Allyson, we appreciate the time, and congrats on all the success so far, and certainly enjoyed taking some time to take a stroll back down memory lane.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Nick.